Hello everybody, this is Edward, and today we're gonna take a look at one of the important components of polygons, and that is normals. So here I've got a plane that has a texture on it for a purpose. Let's go ahead and switch to a shaded mode for now. So I'm gonna hit 5 on the keyboard, and just to kind of quickly go through these shortcut commands, it's 4 wireframe, 5 shaded, 6 textured, 7 is a light mode, so we can actually see what our light is doing in the scene. So in the shaded mode, here is a polygonal face, or a simple polygon that only has one face. So one thing that we need to understand again is in the previous video we talked about a difference between the shapes and the pivot point. So the pivot point is a three-dimensional point. It's a three-dimensional coordinates that allow us to move a two-dimensional shape or a two-dimensional face. Okay, so we have to understand that when we are creating, let's say, a polygon or a NURB object, we are creating a shape that's constructed from two-dimensional faces. Each face is a two-dimensional entity, and then we can move, we basically align them or construct them together to make it look like a three-dimensional object. Okay, and then we can move the two-dimensional shape, which is faces or cluster of faces, in 3D by using a pivot point. Okay, so if each face is a two-dimensional object, just like in Photoshop, when we're looking at the image, it only has 2 dimensions, right? We don't know what's in the back. While here in Maya we can actually see 2 sides of the face. So here we've got again a polygonal face, and we can see it from both sides. But which side is the real one? Because it only has one. And to quickly explain that concept, I have a texture assigned to that plane that has text, so we can actually understand that better. So here we've got a text, and from this side we can actually see and read the text normally. While if we're looking at that same plane on the other side, everything is backwards, everything is flipped, because that side is the back side, or it actually does not exist. We only have one primary side, and the normals actually allow us to define that side. So if we gonna go ahead and create, let's say, a polygonal cube right here, we can actually go under display polygons, face normals, and we'll be able to actually see these lines that represent, and they basically point in a direction of the face normal. So this side is the primary side, or the only side, and let me go ahead and delete these, while the other side right here, the back side of this face, is the back side. So any texture information will actually be reversed on that side. And when we are constructing a shape, let me duplicate it, Control D, duplicate, and when we are constructing a geometry, we want to make sure that all of those normals are consistent, because if one of the faces is pointing down and the other one is pointing up, not only we're gonna have an issue with texturing, we're also gonna have an issue with modeling. So for example, if I decide to go ahead and start let's say appending these faces together, and we'll look at the individual tools here. Let me just quickly do that for for this demo purposes, I'm just gonna quickly combine that and use an append tool. You will see that as soon as I try to create a face between these two edges, it's actually gonna look kind of weird because it's not drawing it right. It's actually wants that face to be consistent with the rest. So understanding which way the normals are facing is very important. It also controls the continuity of our geometry. So for example, if we have a polygon, again, let's just stick with a cube. If we have a polygon cube and one of the faces is actually pointing down, we are breaking the continuity of this geometry. So let's say that we want to smooth that shape, right? Let's go under mesh and say smooth. It smooths it just fine. However, if one of those normals are pointing in the wrong direction, and here's actually a tool here, normals, reverse, so I'm gonna actually flip it. Right now, if I decide to smooth it, we're gonna get a different result. It's not smoothing it right because there is a break in continuity, because these faces are facing one direction and they're all consistent throughout, while this face, this original face right here, was pointing in opposite direction. So understanding the direction of normals is very, very important, and just simply understanding what that is. So that was a quick demo on understanding the normals. So again, to recap it, you have to understand that our shape is actually a two-dimensional element, not a 3D. It's a two-dimensional element with only one side, primary side. The other side does not exist. It can render it, Maya can render it, sort of, but in essence it's actually rendering the front side only, but we can actually just see it from the back. Okay, so if we do really want to get a sort of a piece of newspaper, our page needs to be three-dimensional, which means that we need to have one face for the front side of the face and another face for the back of the face, kind of like simply having a polygonal cube, but squashed. So one side will have one texture, the other side will have a different texture. Alright, so hope you guys understand what's going on here. Play with it, and I'm sure that as we go through all these other tools and modules and functions and techniques, it at some point start to click more and more if you're still not getting it completely. So have a great day.